Good morning, artists. Today we are going to use a new type of paint, which is called watercolor paint. You may have heard of watercolors before, but what you need to know is they are called watercolors for a very real reason. The reason is your watercolor paints will not work unless you add water to them. And I'm not talking about giving them a bath. I'm talking about using a paintbrush to add water to them to grab color and put it onto your paper. The things you will need for this project, as they are part 2 of the first project, you have your paper that you painted all of your beautiful lines on. You will also need a bucket or cup for water. You don't need it to be more than half full. I like to say 3 or 4 fingers is plenty of water. You will need a clean paintbrush, a paper towel, and a set of watercolor paints. If you don't have watercolor paints at home, you can use crayons or even markers to do this project. We are going to use watercolors while we are at school. To open our watercolors, it's kind of like a tricky little box. Put your watercolors on the table flat. You are going to use your 2 thumbs to slip underneath this little latch, and that will open up the watercolors. Try not to claw them open. Use your thumb to open gently. And keep your paints as far to the top of your workspace as you can. That will keep us from putting our elbows, arms, knees, shoulders, and toes into it. Then you're going to want to roll up your sleeves past your elbows. Keep those sleeves out of the paint. Keep your arms up while you paint. That will keep paint off of your arms and your hands. If we remember from last time, our brush has 3 parts. This is called the handle. This is where your handle goes when you are holding your brush like a pencil. Then we have the metal part of the brush, which is called the ferrule. The ferrule should not, and I repeat, should not get paint on it. You should keep the ferrule as clean as the handle. Then we have our brush's hairdo. These are called bristles. Bristles are the only part of the paintbrush that will touch the paint, not the handle where your handle goes. And it's a fair rule to remember that no paint should go on that metal part, but we use our bristles to paint. Now, the fun part, painting. You are going to dip your brush into your water just so the very end of the bristles are in the water. You don't need to give your whole brush a bath, I promise. A little bit goes a long way. Then you can dip the water in your brush into whatever color you would like. I'm going to start with red, and I want to get a good amount of water into my red paint so I can paint with it, no problems. Dip my brush into my paint, and then I'm going to hold down my paper because when we painted it, it got a little wibble wobbly if you didn't notice. You will have newspaper underneath your painting area or something to protect your table if you're worried about it. But watercolor paints are washable, and they will come out of clothes and they will wash off of surfaces if you get to them fast enough. Watercolor paints work best with water. So if you start to lose your color, dip your brush back into your water bucket, paint onto the color, and continue. Now, watercolors have a special power. If we use a lot of water with our paint, we actually make the paint much lighter because the water brings the color down and makes it less bright. I will show you what that looks like because I'm ready to clean my brush. I'm going to put my brush into my bucket, and it's going to touch the bottom of the bucket. And I like to sing a little song while I do this. And it goes, wash, 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 Wash the brush on the bottom of the bucket. But I got a lot of water in here now, right? I don't need that much. So I am going to wipe my brush on the inside of the bucket to get more water out. And I sing, wipe, 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 wipe my brush on the inside of the bucket. Notice I'm not tapping because I'm not a drummer, I'm a painter. And I want to make sure that that water stays inside the bucket and not on my paper or my table area. And finally, to get the last little bit of water out of my brush, I will take it to my paper towel and I will blot, blot, blot. Blotting is pushing the bristles into the paper towel to make it dry. This is also a good way to check that your brush is nice and clean and has no color left over. Since we're using watercolors, we are only going to wash, and one wipe. We still want water in our brush. I will show you what using a lot of water looks like when we are painting with watercolors. And I will do that with yellow. So I'm going to add a lot of water to my yellow. And what this will do is it will thin out my color. I think I'll paint yellow over here. Got a little hair in my paint. Oh, well, that happens. Now, a lot of water is going to make my paint very, very thin, and the color won't be as bright. If I want a bright color, I need to grab more of it with less water. And this can take some time to learn. It's okay if it doesn't work out right the first time. We are artists. We are not afraid of making mistakes. We are brave in our choices, and when we make mistakes, we do learn from them. More water added to my color makes it thinner and less bright. Dipping into the color directly makes it much brighter. And that is all. You get to fill the whole paper with all different kinds of colors. Make sure that each time you change a color, and this is important, make sure that each time you change your color, you wash, 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 and wipe one time before you change your mind. I'm going to grab some green, and I'm going to keep going. And now it's your turn to paint a masterpiece. More water in your paint. If it doesn't turn out the way you want it, you can make it light, light, light with lots of water. Or you can grab that color right off the top and make it bright, bright, bright. That's all for today. You go ahead and start painting and make a beautiful piece of art. Bye-bye.